Hi, and welcome to the Special Olympics Illinois webcast tutorials. This is our GMS 6 Spring Game series. In this session, we're going to be discussing creating and defining our 50-meter non-motorized wheelchair race. The 50-meter non-motorized wheelchair race is currently not recognized by SOI, so we will need to create it in our games. You'll also follow similar steps when creating your young athlete events, which we'll discuss in a separate session. So we're going to talk about defining and creating our 50-meter non-motorized wheelchair race. Some things you'll need, you'll just want to have a copy of your policies and procedures for reference as we're going through. Okay, so we are in our spring games. Let me open this up a little bit. So we are in our Spring Games event, and we're looking at all of our events that are listed here. We just went through and defined our 100-meter run, and then we've gone through and defined all of your track events. But now we want to add our 50-meter non-motorized event that we're going to be piloting this year. In order to do that, what we're going to do is we're just going to right-click somewhere in this window, and we're going to come down here and we're going to say Add from Template, and then we're going to choose Athletics. And since this is a 50-meter event, I like to start with something that already was a 50-meter. So we'll scroll all the way down here. Let me see if I can make sure that's shown here. And we're going to choose the 50-meter motorized wheelchair slalom. And this is going to be our basis for now, our non-motorized. Since this event is not a slalom, it's a straight race, we're going to just take off slalom, and then we just want to tab over here and indicate that this is non-motorized wheelchair. Also with this, we want to edit our event code just so it has a unique code separate from the motorized slalom. So we're going to get rid of that S for slalom, and we're going to add in a WC for wheelchair. And then we're going to click OK, and we're going to change our event code. Now this event, again, will be an individual event. We will want to use the event features of capitalizing our division names, as well as using lanes. And again, setting up these events, we want to make sure that we have this as one round. Since it defaults for 2 rounds, and since we don't do preliminary or time trials, we want to make sure that that's just 1 round. Our awards given, of course, are medals for first through third, ribbons for all others. In our place assignment rules, we want to change this to tell it to don't skip places on ties. Again, with our age groups, if we select those 3 little dots, we'll see all of our age groups that are listed. And we're just going to go ahead and add in our 50 and up. And to do that, I just clicked on Add. I'll just type in 50. Click OK. And now it's created a 30 to 49 and a 50 and up age group. Again, I like to set these events up to start with all of the age groups included, though I know in this 50-meter non-motorized race, I'm probably not going to have any age groups. It'll probably be open ages at my games. But it's nice to start out with this because if you can use some of these age groups, it's helpful to see in your first round of divisioning where people fall. So we're going to save that. And again, like all of our event definitions, we need to set this date for calculating ages to be December 31st. And I'm going to get rid of that scoreboard name since we don't need that. We don't use an external scoreboard. Our score time for this event is going to be time. We are going to use our 2 decimal points, so all of these defaults are perfectly acceptable to keep. And of course, we do require qualifying scores, so we want to make sure that is not checked. We are going to increase our honest effort maximum here to 30. Since we will be divisioning by 20, we want it to give us a little red flag for those performing 30% and above. And for our scheduling, we're just going to leave this default to automatically transition status from unofficial to official. In our schedule entrance, we do want this to be selected to be each division, and all entrants in the division get the same schedule because that's how we're going to set it up. And again, we want all of our genders allowed and all of our roles allowed. And let me move this a little bit. There we go. And then again, we could select any other sport. So if they were also offering soccer, we could select this so they didn't. They couldn't enter both. As well as if we wanted to restrict them from certain events at track and field. So if they're doing a wheelchair race, we could select all of our runs and walks because they wouldn't be able to also do those events. Again, this is handy if you have volunteers that aren't necessarily up to speed on what all of those restrictions are. It will not let them register them in the registration wizard. But again, this is not something that's necessary to set up if you don't need to do that. It gets a little tedious sometimes. I tend to just leave those blank. So then we can go up here and save. And now if we scroll down through our list, we're going to see that it put our 50-meter non-motorized wheelchair at the bottom. If we close this and open it back up, it is still there at the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to back out of our games, and then we're just going to reopen them again. And now when I go to my events and I expand our athletics track and field, if I scroll down now, it's going to show up here in sequence with the other 50-meter events. And I can see right here that I did not take out 50-meter walk. So we'll need to get rid of that event since we don't offer it. And while we're here, why not? We're going to right click on 50-meter walk. We'll come down to tools and we're going to delete this event. It gives us a couple safeties here if you're ever deleting an event to make sure that you know what you're doing. And we're going to say, yep, I want to delete it. And yes, I'm sure. And that event is now deleted. And that is setting up your 50-meter non-motorized wheelchair event. And of course, we do have reference materials that will be on the users forum, a checklist of those event definitions so that you can use those, you can download it and use that to reference as you're going in and setting up your own. Again, I hope this was helpful, and we'll see you in the next session.